We have confirmation that the Kansas Open Meeting Act has been met?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Call to order. Roll call. Me? We're good? Okay. Approval of August minutes enclosed. Everybody had a chance to look through those. Any suggested changes? Anything? Okay.
Okay.
I move we approve the August minutes as presented.
Okay.
I'll second it.
Motion and a second by Amy and Tricia. Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. All opposed? Okay. Move on to new business.
Well,
Haven't heard from our guests.
no one has heard from Trell, so if you don't mind, we can just go into welcoming
Okay.
new commissioners. There are some new faces that just put up with almost an hour of me going through orientation that most of you have had to suffer through. So I'll let each of them introduce themselves. And you've all gotten a little bio information that they provided on the expression of interest. And so typically what we do, commissioners, is in addition to any brief introduction, is just to say, why this? What would ever make you think that you would want to be an arts commissioner? So Douglas, would you like to start us off?
Sure. I think a pretty simple thing. I was born and raised in Hutchinson. Been gone from Kansas for 45 years, all over the place. They kept kicking me out, but back about 3 years. I am an architect. I have a deep passion for all things from the arts. I was actually a theater critic for 13 years. We have a house that looks a little bit like this room with all of the art that's hanging around our walls. We long ago realized the only thing that worked for us in our life was salon style hanging, which is just plaster everything on the wall. And I realized that arts and humanities are critical to the success of any community. And if there was any small way I could help strengthen that in my new home, I would be glad to do so.
Great. Well, welcome.
Thank you.
Yep.
My name is Andrew Baker, and I teach at Kansas Wesleyan University. I come from upstate New York, where I had my degree in graphic design, and from there looked at kind of continuing the area of arts and humanities, kind of teaching the students a little bit more about what they can do to impact their community. So I'm learning a little bit more about that from this committee, kind of why I'm here. But in kind of a little bit more about why I'm here is the fact that I too, as Douglas was saying, really involved with the community, of wanting to be involved in terms of how the arts are being showcased and also being seen amongst the community. Thank you.
Great. Thank you.
My name is Elijah Castro. I was born and raised in Salina. I decided to apply for the board because I really enjoy arts and humanities as a whole. I'm deeply involved in my school newspaper and theater. And overall, I applied because I was interested in seeing what it'd be like.
Cool.
Very good. To be fair to our new guests, if the rest of the commissioners could go through and maybe introduce yourself and how many years you've served on the commission. It'll give them a little bit of context to who they're talking to. So, Megan, why don't you start and we'll loop around.
Megan Ayers, still kind of new. I have been serving on the commission for about a year.
I'm Tanner Colvin, work at Feely Creative here in town. I'm a photographer on the side as well, graduate from KW. And I've been on for a little over 2 years. Yep.
I'm Amy Adams. I started at the same time Megan did, so this is about a year for me.
I'm Pat Altjewell, retired United Methodist clergy, and I think it's been about 2 or 3 years. We started about the same time, I think, Tanner. So enjoy it.
Dean Conda, about a year, and own a production company doing events and music and that kind of artistic endeavor, so.
Yep.
I'm Bill Longbine. I serve on the Salina City Commission, and this is my year to serve and sit on the Arts and Humanities Board.
Each one of the boards and commissions has a liaison from the city commission, or most of them do, I think. And so we sometimes will have the same commissioner in multiple years, and other times, I think Bill just joined us. This is the first time you've done a stint with us, right? And he still comes back.
There you
So.
Not always on time, but I would add, I did enjoy reading through both of your applications. Thank you for serving.
Okay. Move on to selection of officers and CAD rep for 2025, 2026.
Anna facilitated the meeting last month. I think I was gone. And evidently you all conspired on a couple of folks who, one who's here and wasn't last month, and another who isn't here this month. But I'll let you manage in terms of asking if there's nominations. There are 3 positions. There's a chair, there's a vice chair, and then a secretary. Working in reverse order, the secretary primarily would be responsible for reviewing the minutes that Amanda keeps and distributes out to everyone to make sure that they're accurate and reflect what they remember the meeting to be. Now that we're recorded, we're going to have even more accountability. The chair runs the meeting, or any one of the officers in the absence of the chair would facilitate the meeting, which we can help prepare you on that. And the vice chair obviously fills in when the chair isn't available. So ideally, it's good to have somebody who's been through a year cycle. And so if I remember the minutes correctly, there was some discussion of throwing you under the vice chair bus, is that right?
Do
And
we have
Bob
any other
in
nominations
the
for
chair.
vice chair?
I'm not making motions. I'm just reiterating, I think, what was discussed at the meeting, that there were some discussions about Bob moving, I think, from vice chair to chair, and Tanner from secretary to vice chair. And Bob has indicated that he, if asked, he'd be willing to serve, even though he's not here this month, and that he does plan on reapplying or submitting a continued expression of interest to continue serving when his term expires. With that, I'll leave it to
Yep.
you and the
Start
group.
top and work down, or doesn't matter?
Can ask for additional nominations.
So we'll start with chair. Anybody else want to nominate themselves or someone else for that position? Bob has expressed interest in doing that, so.
I will nominate Bob for the chair.
Okay. Do we need a second on that? Okay, and we have a second?
Second.
Okay. All in favor for Bob as chair?
Aye.
Okay. All opposed, same sign? Okay, Bob's the new chair. Do we have anybody that would like to nominate themselves for vice chair? All right.
How much?
I've already been
How much are you
nominated.
paying?
So, yeah, I've already been nominated, so, have a motion.
I'll nominate Tanner Coleman for vice chair.
Okay, we have a second?
Second.
Okay, Pat for the second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, I am the vice chair, and then Pat has expressed interest in being the secretary. Does anybody else? Is that correct?
Oh, did she know that?
Look back here.
I mean, it's okay.
Sorry,
I don't remember
Amy
that
did.
thing.
Sorry, my apologies.
Okay.
Amy would like to
Okay.
step in as secretary to fill the position that I've had. So all in favor of Amy? Say aye.
Aye.
Okay, or sorry, motion first.
I'll motion.
So
I'll-
Pat motions,
I'll second.
Dean seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, so Amy is our new secretary. Sorry, Pat.
No.
She looks surprised.
I wished I'd had my camera ready
Yeah.
to see your level of surprise. So we'll see if Cash was able to get that recorded.
Okay, so that finishes that. We do need a CAD rep for 25-26. I believe that person sits on the CAD board on the same week.
Yeah, there's typically.
You need to be at a mic. Or just slide it down a little
I
bit.
talk pretty loud. Typically, there's a couple months out of the year where CAD is gonna fall the week before. If, at the first is a Wednesday, so October actually is one of those months coming up. So 10 months out of the year, typically we are the Tuesday. So if you are the CAD liaison, you would have a meeting on Tuesday at 4:30 in the same room the day before commission. So-
Tell us a little bit about what that role entails.
So CAD is a little bit smaller group. We have 6 on that committee. The liaison is, I'm typically always here to share things that are happening, but they may serve as, I don't want to say the tiebreaker, but if, we have 6 on that board, if there's any question, if we're passing an action or anything else. Otherwise, they are there to kind of share between what's happening in commission and just be that conduit between this discussion here. You guys as commissioners are really talking about, you're kind of the higher level of what's happening in the cultural sector and in the arts. And CAD is really focused on public art and engaging that and taking things through that process. So it also helps have a commissioner that I'm informed because it's the work I do all the time, but being able to see what's happening and sort of the processes we're taking through CAD before it comes here. Any of those things that go through the CAD committee for approvals or recommendations, and really you guys are the approving body before city commission, CAD is a recommending body. So even if they say all together that they want to recommend something, whether it's an artist for a project, or the location of the People's Choice, that body is recommending to this body, and then we discuss that. So it's just having another person, eyes and ears, kind of the back and forth. So like I said, I'm typically in here to share and dig into some of the details and the administrative stuff that I'm doing all the time, but just gives a little more accountability and I think informing back and forth. You guys hear what I say, but I think coming from volunteer, community member, the information may feel a little bit different as you guys are serving.
Okay.
So.
Can it be one of the 3?
It can be anybody.
Okay, so
Yep.
if you
It's
have.
just one extra meeting a month for about an hour to an hour and a half on Tuesdays, the third Tuesday
Yes,
at 4:30.
4:30. We stick pretty close to it.
And they follow the same meeting schedule as the Arts Commission does, and 10 meetings a year.
We have a nomination for the CAD rep
Or a volunteer.
or volunteer, volunteer, yeah.
We have a lot of fun at that meeting, I
They
promise.
do.
Would it be inappropriate for a new commissioner to?
No, a new commissioner, anyone who has a personal interest or the time.
I think it sounds
is-
interesting.
Well, we'd love to have you.
I'd volunteer.
Okay. Do we have a motion? Okay. Andrew motions. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Dean seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Oh, boy.
All opposed?
If you oppose, you're it.
Yeah. All right, so that carries. Move on to staff reports.
Now, for our, discussed this briefly with our new commissioners, but If anybody has questions about items that are on the staff report, this would be a good chance to say, what does this mean exactly, or can you tell me more about this? If we have a staff member that needs to speak that isn't at a mic, you need to either slide a mic closer to you, or one of us can move out of the way so that you're properly recorded. So. What's that?
Does any staff member have a?
I don't, before the staff, we usually have the commissioners ask any
Okay.
questions or follow up on things. There, quite a bit in the report this month, so.
Does anyone have any questions, points of clarification?
Okay.
Good.
Then are there any staff members who have had new items come up since the report was done last week that warrants sharing with the commissioners?
I would like to give you guys a little update. Last month, I talked about us investing in, we use application to jury in and take in applications for artists at the River Festival. We've also invested in the Public Art Archive and Cafe, as Cafe is, these are all part of West Creative, sort of the blanket organization. We've invested in the Public Art Archive because part of the conversation, some of you who are new, this is going to be the first time you're hearing about this, some of you who've been on the board. The conversation that keeps resurfacing both in this group, in CAD, and from the community is asking for sort of a one-stop shop when folks want to find public art. We have our City of Salina website that maps out what we have in our collection, but most of you are very familiar that within the City of Salina, we have a lot of public art. Some of it is privately owned. A lot of it is purchased through private funds. Projects are created outside of these walls. We are not the people who are always administrating. We're not creating a lot of that. And I don't want to make up numbers, but I sort of proudly claim that probably 90% of the creative activity that happens within Salina, it doesn't originate here. But when people are looking at public art, they want to know how to get to it. And as the city, we're not managing all of that private stuff. So we've explored some options, and the Public Art Archive is something that if you go on, and I really encourage you guys to check it out. We haven't started populating that yet, but that's kind of what we're working into. We'll be able to capture both our city collections, private stuff, be able to include Boom, all of these things that people see. And if whether you live here or you're visiting as a tourist, it's a more accessible thing. And we're not calling it the City of Salina Public Art Archive. It is Salina, Kansas. So that's what we put in as the URL. So we're not labeling that as a city collection site. This is Salina, Kansas. So we're starting to dig in. I've been working with Allie to determine sort of what that rollout is. And rather than thinking 60 years back of arts and humanities, we're really trying to focus on the things that people want to see. They want to know how to get to all the murals. And the Boom site has got things marked really well. So those things are not going away. Our website's not going away, but we're looking for a place that we can house all of that. It also gives us administratively a lot of really cool tools on the back end to start archiving. It allows access for the public. If you are out and see something, you can submit a condition report through that website. You could do that on our website, but it's not as formalized as what the Public Art Archive is. If you're traveling, it's something, type in the city that you're going to, and that can kind of give you a roadmap as to what's there. Not everybody's using it. It is a choice. There were a couple things that were uploaded by artists onto that archive before we decided to invest. So this is going to be, it's going to take some time, and we will probably ask you guys as commissioners to both advocate for the use of this and share, like, how do you use it? And I just want to keep you guys informed. So we're really looking at some of those things, what's currently in Sculpture Tour right now, and then probably looking at just the past 3 years to focus on the most recent things before we start digging really deep, because we'll want to get archive and anything that's maybe been refurbished, we can note that. Something, like if you guys look out the window and you see that mural out there on the building that's been uncovered, that's something that we'll probably get to down the road. When did that first appear? When did it reappear? Because it may go away. But those are things that can be noted on the public art archive. So I'm really excited to dig into that, but again, we're gonna focus here on sort of the immediate, what's happened in the last few years. So it's a lot to digest. But we wanna make a nice tour, easily accessible. The mapping's really great. So that's something we're working on. Cafe Call for Art is another platform still housed with West Creative, but that is a platform for artists to utilize and seek out opportunities. It's a little different from Zapplication, which is all about art fairs. Cafe is more about either sculpture tours, gallery shows, individual opportunities, so exhibiting art as opposed to art markets. And the first thing we actually got it posted today was the call for entries for Sculpture Tour. So that is live on Cafe. Artists can set up a profile on there for free. They can set up, you can load anything in your portfolio, whether it's 2D or 3D. You identify all of that information, and it really eases the application process for artists. This is great for students. I didn't know about it until I was in grad school, which is a little crazy. But once the artists have loaded stuff in there, they can kind of drag and drop and apply for shows. So they're not having to start from scratch with entering information. They can seek all sorts of different opportunities. But the Sculpture Tour call for entries has been out, and typically those applications come in and have been processed through Google Drive, Google Forms. We're hoping that this actually casts the net a lot farther. Both streamline the jury process and make it really easy for artists to apply to that thing. And you know, there's a lot of collaboration with Sculpture Tour, so hopefully this will ease a little bit of that administrative and sort of those communication tools. But that's out. We haven't done any social media push that it's on there, but please share that with folks. We'll try to get that onto like Salina Creates, but that's the first step with integrating Cafe, and we'll keep you updated on the Public Art Archive. So if you know any artist folks who are interested in Sculpture Tour, please encourage them to get onto Cafe, Call for Artist, set up an account. Like I said, it's free. And we'd really, there's gonna, you know, this probably the next couple years will be more of a hybrid year for those applications and processing. But for streamlining for everybody who works on these projects, we want to start moving in that direction. So we'll try to get some social media stuff pushed out and share those links if you guys can help advocate for that. So we're diving in, but we've got a lot of work to do with the Public Art Archive. So
I know that's something you've been working on for a while, and that's going to affect a lot of different agencies in town and stuff, so that's...
Yeah, and that's where Allie and I was like, we got to sit down. Brad had asked, he's like, what's the implementation plan? And I was like, my head's spinning a little bit. But before we go down that 60-year rabbit hole of what we have existing, I think the goal is to get something that's accessible for a current walking tour. When somebody rolls into town right now, what is the thing that they're asking about? They're looking at sculptures, they're looking at murals, so we're gonna try and stay hyper-focused and get that locked in, and then we can dig into the layers, so.
Well, I mean, as an example, and I lead a number of community tours. I've got a couple coming up the first week of October. There is a national travel writers group that's going to be in Wichita for a conference, and then they are specifically leaving that to go to different areas of the state, and two of the groups ask specifically to go to Salina to see arts, culture, and architecture. And if we have a group and they say, where can I go to see all of the art that you guys have, say, oh, well, if you want to see some of the murals, you go to Boom. And then if you want to go to the sculptures that are on Santa Fe, but just the ones for this year, you go to Sculpture Tour Salina. And then, oh, the ones in between that are public art or some things that we've done. You might have to go to SDI to see the trash corrals, and then you can come to our website and see. Well, that's not handy. And so, to Crystal's point, having one URL, one place, and you can look at a map, you can do an interactive guide, you can click on any one of those pieces of art and get more details than maybe what some of the websites have, or some active links. It will be a tremendous improvement over what we have. And to Crystal's point, in terms of scale, I think the contract we entered into includes them helping with some data migration. But I just told our new commissioners, since 2001, we have 200 pieces of art, not including the 24 sculpture tour pieces for this year, more than 200 pieces of art outside that are publicly visible. If we start including murals in the schools, or arts integrated things in other public buildings, or all of the work that's just in the city-county building, that list grows tremendously. So,
I really love the fact that on our website, we're mapping the things that are currently out there and available. But over the years, things have been there, they've had to be decommissioned. We can note that. We have images, we have all of that stuff archived, but nobody sees it in our internal archive. And that's where it's gonna take a long time to get that all there. But if somebody's like, man, 20 years ago, do you guys remember that thing that, and I know Brad has got a lot of stuff that he can pull out of his brain that he remembers, but we need to get that translated, so it's not always
some
Brad.
of it's even true.
I know, it's unbelievable. So I think it's gonna be really cool for people to be able to look back, because you can note to say public art is not always meant to be forever. And so we can track that, and if something gets painted over or it gets decommissioned, we can say this was located at this spot between this and this. And sometimes things move and people are like, where'd it go? There's just a lot of really cool possibility in archiving, but
When you say
please.
when you say migration, can you take the Boom map and migrate that information over? You think?
I'm
It's in
not
a
the
Google.
tech person.
Yeah.
We haven't scheduled.
Okay.
Allie and I are that's where our first bite was, what do we want to get on there first?
Yeah.
And so all of the stuff with Boom is so recent. We can get the artist stuff, all that information's there. We're gonna have to talk to their tech team to see, because the Boom map is really great, and I just looked at it the other day as we were going through, does have the trash corrals on it.
I think all but Mindy's isn't on there, but yeah.
Yeah, so it's like the upcoming Boom murals,
Yep.
everything that's been done,
All,
and the
all
trash.
outdoor murals are on there.
Okay.
Other than the last few that
So
we had.
it was nice to see that that's more encompassing than just what was done during that event. So we'll check and see, and we'll probably be reaching out to different organizations to either collect images, and that may be something we ask for commissioners and CAD. CAD's been really great in supporting condition reports or going out and collecting images, and we have an intern here that we're probably gonna utilize for some of that transition, so.
Awesome step forward.
Dan, I have a question about the for staff report, and maybe Susan can talk about it, or some of the others, but we're coming up on the culture crawl for the 7th graders this next month, and I know a little bit about it, but not much, and so just a little more about how that works, how many institutions do the kids get to go to, and
I'll let
all of
Sarah
that
take the
stuff.
lead on this.
Oh, okay.
I can help out with this one a little bit. So the Cultural Crawl is a very unique event. I have not heard of something similar, at least regionally. We have about 12 different organizations, entities that are collaborating together. Both of the middle schools in USD 305 come down. They split into small groups throughout the day, and they rotate between different stations, and at each station is an educational activity that is hosted by a cultural organization. For a lot of students, it's the first time that they're getting a chance to enter some of these spaces or even interact with some of these organizations. And we want them to know that these are spaces that are available to them right now. And as they're getting older in the community, what are some spaces that they're welcome at their age group, and what kind of new opportunities are available to them. So some of them are looking for volunteer hours or just different ways to interact, especially between kind of that 12 to 15 age group. So that's a portion of it, and we have several education coordinators in the cultural sector that get together monthly, and as a part of that group, we work together and we volunteer to put on the event. And that includes, let's see if I can remember just about everybody I think we have it written. We've got Lakewood Discovery Center, Friends of the River, Theater Salina, Salina Symphony, the Smoky Hill Museum, the Rolling Hills Zoo, Salina Art Center, Crystal does a public art session as well, and Salina Downtown are all collaborating for that event in collaboration with 305.
And
So-
the public
So
library.
And the public library, yeah, sorry. Just at
So,
the
but
top.
these are various places to go to, right? I mean.
Yes, that's one of the beautiful parts about the event is you may have some collaborations that will maybe do an expo and everybody meets inside the gym, and you can visit each station inside the gym.
Mhm.
What's different about this event is a lot of our cultural groups are downtown,
Mhm.
or our different spaces downtown are letting us use those that also invite youth. So one of our stations this year is the City Teen Center, where there's activities that those kids can go to, but we aren't able to walk to the zoo from here. So
right.
the zoo is going to be housed inside that building. So it's kind of a nice double
Lakewood probably
benefit.
comes here.
Yes.
Yeah,
So the
so,
benefit,
right.
Lakewood, I think we're going to get to partner with the Field House, which has a lot of great
Yeah.
opportunities for that age group. But it's a nice place on the walking tour where we just have a lot of places downtown that they can walk in between. So
Mhm,
they can get out, see different things that are available downtown, get some mobile, and they can be more hands-on too.
Mhm. And
Sarah?
it pretty much takes the full day, so they have opportunity to.
Yes, yeah, so the day pretty much runs from about 8 a.m. to 3 p.m.
Okay, so good.
Can you say how long the walk is and then also what happens at the end?
Yes, so the walk itself, this year I believe it's around 2 miles by the time they go around the loop. And then at the very end of the day, so we have small groups that will do the rotating sessions. And at the very end, it culminates in a full group performance where Cash gets to do some music for the kids. We have been doing that at the City Lights stage for the past couple of years. This year, they're doing some construction in that parking lot. So we're hoping to be able to move to the Campbell Plaza stage and be a little more central. So you'll get to see about 250 kids on each of those days, just kind of going crazy, having a good time, and getting to be together and celebrating the different opportunities that we have. And then they get to go
Great.
back to school.
Great.
So-
It's definitely worth going down and just watching it all
Yeah.
happen, because it's
Yeah.
organized.
Yeah, you'll see just like packs of like 30 to 40 students at a time, just kind of
Sure.
rotating intermittently throughout the day.
Yeah.
But it's
I've
interesting.
seen it at Match
Mhm.
Madness, when the kids,
Yeah.
the fifth graders come down for that.
Yes. Mhm.
But I was trying to imagine how this functions.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
It's
that's
a little
part of the
different,
interesting
yeah.
part is they kind of get an introduction, and then it's like, how do we continue all that knowledge?
Uh-huh.
They may have seen those organizations at a booth surrounded by 70 other people, but now you get one step further in the process of, now I'm in that space, or now I'm talking to someone that works boots on the ground, and I may, if I want to do a volunteering organization, this is the person that I'm going to be in that process. So just getting them more connected with the staff in that.
Right. Okay, thank you.
Anybody else have any points of clarification on staff reports?
I just have one quick one. It's at the top of your deal, but it just as a reminder, this year's State of the Arts will be slightly different than the last couple of years. We'll do a brief update on the final financial picture of the festival and a few highlights for what's coming in the year ahead in this anniversary year to the City Commission. but the bulk of the time is going to be divided amongst 8 or so presenters that receive public funding of some type. So the Art Center, the Symphony, the Community Theater, the Stiefel, the museum, the zoo, they either receive transient guest tax dollars or other funding. Even most recently, the temple is getting a new parking lot, and the city had previously contributed to a roof, or part of the cost of a roof replacement. And being able to have those cultural entities report back to the city commission and let them know the impact of that investment that they've made is important. So this will be an umbrella meeting to give a few minutes of impact and resources from each of those, along with a written report that the commissioners will be able to have as a resource and a guide for them as citizens express their opinions both for and not in support of the arts. So we'll be presenting that on the 13th. You're certainly welcome to attend the City Commission meeting at 2:30 is when that study session commences.
Okay, we have the street fair update.
Yes, it's about 10 days till the street fair, September 27th. Starts with the parade, of course, and then ends up down here at the museum. It's the one day a year that we branch out of the museum, spill out onto the street, and have all kinds of different activities and entertainment for the public. This year we have some new acts for our entertainment stage. We have Sally and the Hertz who are coming, and some oldies but goodies. Don Wagner and friends, Steel Scarecrow, and Nick Taylor will all be on the stage. Cash will be our MC for that event as well. He gets around. The theme of the whole event is Old West, so we focus our crafts, make and take crafts for kids, Old West theme, as well as some activities that children and even adults can partake in. They're lots of fun. And then, of course, one of the funnest activities everyone likes is the chili cook-off. We have 7 teams this year. You can purchase tickets to taste all 7 chilies for about $2.50. You also get a little bottle of water, and while supplies last, a corn muffin donated by the Christ Episcopal Cathedral, or yeah, over there on A Street, providing that. We do, of course, need volunteers to help get this going. We have about 54 out of 87 slots filled, which is great, but we definitely can use some more. That's why you have a flyer in front of you with a QR code that if you want to volunteer or know of people you can ask to volunteer, that would be great. One of the biggest needs right now is we have to pull barricades for 3 of the intersections for the parade. It's one of the shortest stints you can do. You pull barricades, stand, watch a parade, pull barricades back off the street. That's all there is to it. And you get to wear a lovely fluorescent vest. So that's a fairly easy one. And then we have other activities as well. So feel free to look through those and see if any of those are of interest.
And where can folks that might be watching now
Sign up to volunteer? Sign up to volunteer. Go to SmokyHillMuseum.org. It's first thing on the webpage. With the button, click here to volunteer, and it'll take you straight to the sign-up site. There's also in that scrolling top page of the website a link to the activities for the day, so you can get a better idea of what all is going on. As well, and I'm trying to think what else I've forgotten. We do have demonstrators that come down and help with this. We have the Buffalo Soldiers are going to be on the First United Methodist lawn again this year. They were great last year, and this year, instead of a stagecoach, we have a wagon that people will be able to see and learn about, one of the wagons that would have been used in the Old West. And then, of course, we have caricaturists, which are a very popular activity, and those are free to the public,
as well as some face painting, which is also free. So all activities are free. We have food vendors, those do cost, and the chili cook-off cost, but those are the only things. And of course, you can't come down and not go into the museum. We are on the final weeks of our current exhibit, Kansas Battleground for Freedom. That is a precursor to the Civil War. Talks about the forming of Kansas and all that went into that, and foreshadows the Civil War. So that's a great exhibit to come down and see. I think that's just about it.
All right. Move on to National Arts and Humanities Month.
Just a public service announcement as a reminder, for the month of October, it's National Arts and Humanities Month. Sometimes we'll do large campaigns with multiple activities or engagements. Other times we are less involved. This is going to be one of those years that we're not going to be as heavily programmed, but I want to encourage you as commissioners. This is a great month to consider taking a photo of your favorite artwork and posting it, or attending a show or an event that you might not have been inclined to do before, and write about it. The peer pressure that happens from the general citizens rather than the paid talking heads to promote the arts is really important. And so humanizing the creative experience, helping raise awareness of things that people might just take for granted would be important. So watch for prompts or things that come from our office, but don't be afraid of making your own positive statement for the impact of the arts. And then, as I already indicated, we do schedule the State of the Arts report for October as part of that reasoning also. So we it's a good time of the year to just remind folks about the importance and the value of arts in the community. So you may choose to take some of the information from that and repost it and share it. So you'll be getting copies of that at least by the meeting, but it will be available to the city commissioners the Thursday before the 13th. So all of that will be available pretty early in the month. Okay?
Okay.
All right.
Old business, we go back to Susan for.
The KMA 250th celebration, we're going to have another staff member join. Kansas Museum Association is working with the Mountain Plains Museum Association, and Josh can tell us more on this, but next year is a big year. It's the 250th celebration of America's founding on July 4th with the Declaration of Independence. And so there's lots of celebrations going on, and the Kansas Museum Association is wanting to help other museums in Kansas with that celebration. So I'll let Josh Morris, our curator of exhibits, who's on the KMA board, give some more information on that.
Yeah, so this is kind of an interesting project. Across the nation, obviously, everybody's planning this big celebration that's coming up. So we have things that are happening nationally, then at a state level, and then there's the local level. This project, it sort of grew from one thing into a much larger project. So it's called Moments That Made Us. So this all started out of the Colorado History Museum in Denver, their local project to celebrate the 250th. In that process, Jay Price, who's working at the state level in Kansas, got to talking to them and was like, hey, this is a really great project. Did you think about making this into something other museums can use? Because the reality is there's large museums like them and mid-sized museums like us who have already started this process long ago. We're well into our 250th celebration.
Planning.
We have a script, we have a design going, we're really into it. But a lot of museums are so small that they really don't have a way to develop anything, but they want to help, they want to be part of it and celebrate this. So out of this project, which is an in-house, this idea grew to create a mobile version. So this mobile version will consist of up to 22 downloadable templates on 5 different themes. So as a museum, if you wanted to showcase this exhibit called Moments That Made Us, you might say, oh, you know what? I like this topic, and each of those have 5 panels. So I have 10 panels that I can use in my museum. I can print them off at CopyCo or any local location, or I could partner with another small museum. And then in addition to that, there's also templates where you can take your own local information and put it in. To make this more accessible and easy to do, there's a toolkit that's being developed. So this toolkit's going to be sent out to every museum who's expressing interest, and it's going to tell them exactly how to use it. So it's going to give them suggestions of, hey, did you look in your collection? You might have items like this, or this, or this. And it's going to pair those items with pieces in the downloadable templates so they can have something tangible to look at while they're reading the different labels. And of course, it's kind of when you get this many people involved, it's kind of it's a joy. No, actually, it's kind of a nightmare. But it really started with, I think, Kansas and Colorado and maybe Idaho, and now it's basically like every state in the West, plus I think Alaska and Hawaii is on there. So it's grown and grown and grown. And it's been fun to see their input and their comments, and really everybody's on the same page because we're all museum people. So we're like, oh, we want to tell everything, but we have to say it in 150 words. So how do we tell all this history in 150 words per panel? So that's what I've been working on. Most precisely, I got pushed into this because we do travelers at the Smoking Museum. So I go across the state installing, and I get a chance to see all these small museums and public libraries and know what the spaces really look like and what kind of resources they have. So I've been there to help them sort of make sure we're staying on task, and other people like me, just to make sure that this project is as good as it possibly can be, because the information is obviously fabulous. There's going to be great images, great story, but we want to make sure that it gets a lot of use. Is there any questions off that?
So you're talking about moments that made us. Does that mean we're looking at all 250 years?
No,
not
so
not just the first.
Yes, it is. It does all 250 years, but it goes from. It's the museum calling me. So, for instance, one of the topics is the introduction of corn into the Americas, and how that impacted us. Other pieces are about social justice. So there's all these different topics that can go from before we were America to present day. So, and then each of those is kind of subdivided into sort of a theme. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, well, what are the themes then? I mean, have you got like 10 basic themes or something?
Yeah, I'd have to look because there's been so many variations. And I'll butcher it because I'm terrible at recalling, but yeah, I can get you the information.
That's okay.
Yeah, I can get you the themes.
Yeah, I'm just trying to kind of imagine what we're trying to capture, to celebrate. And,
yeah, so I mean,
it's a big picture.
In a gist, it talks about like a little bit of like what is justice. So some of that fighting for fairness, inequality for all, and what is equality. There's like the traditional sort of like celebration type things, and there's the hard sort of history about what America is, the good and the bad. So it really tries to cover all the bases so that someone can go in and feel like they can connect to something. And then within the selections that were going into this, they're primarily, I mean, some of them are national, but a lot of them were specifically chosen for items that Western states could identify with the most. So like Transcontinental Railroad and how that impacted immigration, things like that. So most likely, it would be pretty shocking if it didn't go to a museum or a public library and there wasn't items that they could see and connect on the national level and say, well, locally, this is what our community did. That ties right into that big story.
Yeah. So what other, like, just tell the names of a few of the smaller museums that then we collaborate with. I'm interested to know. I mean, Wallace County Museum, I know, comes for the street fair, but.
Yeah, well, I think so far, last time I checked, there was like 30 or 40 museums across the state who had sent like response to that they wanted information.
Pretty much across the state.
Yeah, I mean, I pretty saw a museum or a public library from one side of the state to the other.
Yeah, you might mention some of the museums we've been in with
Yeah,
ours.
so the ones we typically work with, Scott City, Logan, they have the J.G. Hansen Museum.
Right.
Hayes, Ellis County, we've been all the way up to Lacine, they have a local library or museum. I think we're pretty much in every part of the state from our museum, and almost every even major city. You would think, oh well, no one they're just going to go to whatever local city that's big, but like Peabody, we've been to that public library. It's right outside of Wichita. Oxford is another one. Lyon County Historical Society. It's odd, you think just museums are gonna do these things, but I would say it's almost like a 60-40 with public libraries being even more of a user of small traveling exhibits. Because usually, when you hit those small communities, public libraries serve as a little of everything. So they're primarily the library, but they also the only place that's bringing in exhibits or other type of educational or arts type events. So it's kind of a cool thing. I would have never guessed that before we started doing this.
Well, they would have some paid staff too, where a lot of the museums, I think, are staffed by volunteers.
Yeah, usually from what I see, most of the really small museums, they have maybe 2 people or sometimes it's 1 and a volunteer. Small museums usually have, at best, 1 person that's paid and then a slew of volunteers who probably don't get paid anything. So libraries do typically have a little bit better funding, I guess. Staffing.
Right.
But
Well, it's a cool project to hear about. I'm glad that it emerged and it come out of Colorado's History Museum. The
it
History
did,
Museum in Denver
and
there.
Jay Price, who's at Wichita State, is working at the state level and everything Kansas is doing, and he's the one who sort of spearheaded us getting involved, and then stepped away and said, "Well, I've got other things to do, so why don't you guys do this?" Which is true. He's got his fingers in so many things; it's amazing. But so we're going to be presenting this topic, this project as a whole at KMA, which is in November. So there'll be 3 of us presenting. Along with this project is Kara Heights. Did I get her last name right? She has a podcast that she's been doing and developing that are based off of these same themes. I think there's 1 a month, and she'll be talking about that at the KMA conference next month or in November.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions for Josh? Thank you, Josh.
Thank you.
Move on to other business. Questions for clarification or other items? Kind of a good spot if you felt like we missed anything, you didn't get a question you had in, so.
We have 1 more day of our button art call.
Okay.
Yesterday was 2 days. Allie's not here to back me up on this. So, I mean, by end of day tomorrow, I was like, I didn't drive this, so somebody may have to correct me on it, but we have put out a call for art as we're moving into that celebration for 50 years of festival. There's a call for design. Up to 6 designs will be chosen. there's always a button station at Festival. So the idea this year is that these designs will essentially be coloring pages, but to fit a button. As we're moving through community and engaging conversations and hyping for the 50th celebration, we'll be taking the button machines out, and these designs will go out. So they'll be at Festival and throughout the community leading up to Festival. So there'll be up to 6 designs chosen for that. For each chosen design, there's $100 to the artist. If folks are under 18, we're doing either a $100 donation to their school program, their classroom, or a gift card for art supplies of that nature, as we can't enter into contracts unless you're 18. So it is still open. I don't know where we're at with applications at this point, but there's still a little bit of time. So that's kind of a fun little thing that's happening.
And I've seen that post on your social media, on the Arts and Humanities social media and everything, so.
Yep.
People want more information. Okay. We've got only 2 meetings left for this year. So October 15th, 4 p.m. is our next meeting, and you can see the remaining ones in 2025 and 2026 there. So look for a motion to adjourn.
A motion to adjourn.
Okay, do we have a second? Oh, hang on.
I just have updated copies of commissioners, so that you guys have everybody's contact information. I'm gonna have them pass them around.
Okay.
It's just got all of our new commissioners plus, the board.
Oh, and I forgot, there are just a few yard signs left. If you would love to help us promote the street fair, you can take one of those and put it in your yard or business yard.
And then do you ask for those to come back?
Yes, we would love for them to come back. If you want me to come pick them up, just let me know the location, and I will pick up the week following street fair.
Or they could bring them to the
Or they
next
can bring
meeting?
them
and-
to the museum or the next meeting, whichever is easiest.
Okay. Now I'll take Dean's motion.
Motion to adjourn.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. All opposed?